We have been talking about the motivation, which is bodhicitta. Bodhicitta gives us the chance of going on the path of liberation. And they called it is the ultimate refuge. No matter who and what we are, everyone should have a refuge, right? Because it will protect us from suffering. That's why Buddhists call it ultimate refuge. As you know, the happy life we are having now is, I hope, everybody's happy. It's not permanent, because there's bound to be suffering in the future. That's just inevitable. It's just samsara. But if we have a bodhicitta mind, it will protect us from suffering in the future and make our lives meaningful and brings happiness. So I have to remind everyone once again to investigate and to reflect on the many years of your Buddhist practice, to see in your mind how often you think of others and without concern for your own well-being and your own liberation. And I hope, many of you have been renewing the Bodhisattva vows every day. Who are, belong to this group. I already told you, renew the Bodhisattva vow every morning, at least once a day. If you can, 3 times, 4 times, as many as you can, as many will be better, but at least one time. You cannot forget that, renewing the Bodhisattva vows every day. You would say, I vow to attain Buddhahood for the liberation of all sentient beings, right? It is for this reason that I meditate, or whatever, do this and do that, right? That's how you do every day. If bodhicitta has not been aroused in your mind so far, then I think you have to reconsider what is the cause that prevents you from arousing bodhicitta and make you not successful. Why? So that's very important. Another one, please renew Bodhisattva vows. I do 3 times a day, but I don't know how many times you do. Whether having bodhicitta or not is a matter of constant practice. If we do not start practicing now to generate bodhicitta, we will forever remain selfish and never become Mahayana practitioner. That's the, it's so, so sad, like as a Mahayana practitioners always like being selfish. That's not good. However, as we continue practicing bodhicitta for a period of time, I guarantee you it will certainly be developed, and it can change your mind, and it will, I guarantee you, it will bring the most the greatest, benefits into your daily life. Not like, eventually I will attain liberation. Not like that, but just like everyday life. You can see that, you can understand that. So therefore, it's really like the best protector and best medicine. And it is also important to understand not just to practice bodhicitta alone, but other methods are also needed, such as learn the benefits of bodhicitta, because we're going to teach lots, right? Like limitless bodhicitta. The benefits of bodhicitta is you just can't count. But I'm going to at least, teach you benefits of bodhicitta when we have this way of bodhisattva teaching and bodhisattva teachings as much as I can to talk about practice, bodhicitta, the brain's benefits, because the more you understand the benefits of bodhicitta, you really want to practice. So not just to practice bodhicitta, you have to understand the benefits of bodhicitta, studying and contemplating the Mahayana text, accumulating merit, such as generosity, releasing life of other beings, become a vegetarian is one essential thing, actually. I cannot judge, cannot say we have this, I would usually really don't think that become vegetarian has nothing really to do with the religion, especially Buddhism. There are like teachers who are not vegetarian, but maybe they are not ordinary people. There's maybe there is a beneficial. I don't know, when they eat meat and through that they can liberate that animal because of karmic connection. I don't know. I can't talk about that, but I can talk, as an ordinary people like us. If you are not vegetarian, that shows you don't have genuine bodhicitta. Clearly, 100%. Because if you have a genuine bodhicitta, you're not going to eat meat and harm animals. You are so uncomfortable doing that, because bodhicitta does that. So if, I don't know, you are ordinary person or you are great person, I don't know. I cannot see that, but you know who you are. If you are an ordinary person, and if you continually not become a vegetarian, I guarantee you there's no way to develop bodhicitta. No way. So the first thing is, if you are ordinary person, first thing is you have to consider how to become a vegetarian. I am not vegetarian, but I'm a bodhisattva. That doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense. Bodhicitta is basically, based on practice equanimity, practice love and compassion. All of this together we call bodhicitta, the relative bodhicitta. the aspiration and action bodhicitta. Relative bodhicitta has two difference, So if you have some kind of bodhicitta experience and quality that develop based on love, compassion, equanimity. So if you ignore sort of like how suffering those animals, how people slaughtered and killed them, if you ignore that and then unpremeditated body, that doesn't make any sense. So you should consider that, okay? I'm not telling you what to do, like you have to be a vegetarian. I'm not saying that, but if you want to practice bodhicitta, you should learn these things, learn the benefits of bodhicitta, read the Mahayana text, accumulating merit. That is what I mean. Become a vegetarian is huge, like you create a great sort of merit. That helps. That's why they call it accumulating merit is one of the cause that can bring you bodhicitta. Generosity. Release in life is the best generosity. Practice generosity. So you have not just, I'm going to practice bodhicitta, but you have to also think all of this kind of things, They will bring you and they will help you to, develop your bodhicitta mind, right? All these methods, that's what we call methods, right? Methods are necessary in order to generate bodhicitta. As a Buddhist who has studied a great deal of Mahayana teachings, the goal should never be for worldly accomplishments for themselves. I can tell you that my only wish for all of you, all of us, is to develop the foundational practices. So to have a pure motivation is the most important foundation. In order to remember your motivation, you need mindfulness again. So people like us should start with generating bodhicitta, the foundational practice. That's what I call. Bodhicitta is more than just a foundation, but we can say that because this is if you want to practice Mahayana Buddhism, this is how you start. That's why I call the foundational practice bodhicitta. Otherwise, bodhicitta is everything. So this life gives us a wonderful opportunity to make our life meaningful and to become a great person. That means bodhicitta makes you a great person, brings happiness. When you are happy, you act so properly, harmoniously, So we just need to focus on our meditation while we have the opportunity. Okay? So one thing that should be clear is that the Dharma practice has only one purpose, which is to discipline the mind. Okay? Because if our disturbing emotions are reduced, mind is compassionate. Our activities are very beneficial. So that is the sign of true Dharma practitioners. Then we are successful with our practice. Therefore, our goal is first, we have to develop these sort of foundational practices so that we will have a capacity and realization. Okay? So therefore, today I am trying to teach you all the important foundations within the 3 spring methods, as I mentioned before, okay? Or based on 3 spring methods. So the entirety of these teachings today is practicing mindfulness through using the 3 spring methods, or within the 3 spring methods. I don't know how to say this correctly. I hope you understand. So we will be practicing mindfulness for our meditation, but this 3 spring method should be included within this while you practice. Do you understand? So when you meditate on mindfulness, make sure you have bodhicitta as your motivation. Make sure maintaining mindfulness and dedicate at the end. That's what I mean. We should practice this foundational practice within the 3 spring methods. Okay? Now I'm going on the next, which is the 2nd spring method. We already discussed the first, which is motivation. So now you understand that. So that now the second of 3 spring method is the actual practice with a mind free of clinging or free of concepts. Okay? So what does the mind free of clinging or concepts, right? So basically, a mind free of clinging and concept means wisdom and emptiness. Before having realized emptiness through the wisdom, right? In order to recognize emptiness, you need to use your wisdom, right? So they are sort of inseparable. So before having realized emptiness through the wisdom, it is impossible to have a mind free of concepts, and it is impossible free of mind free of clinging. But most of us may not have fully realized emptiness. You may have chance to read or received the teachings of emptiness, but that is just what they call a theoretical understanding, right? Intellectual understanding, not true realization of emptiness. So you may have kind of understand, received the emptiness, teachings of emptiness, or may understand what emptiness means, what is the union of wisdom, emptiness, but you may not have the true realization of emptiness. But today, I'm not going to talk about what is emptiness and how to realize emptiness, because in order to realize emptiness, again, we need a good and solid foundation, good understanding Buddhism, good understanding Mahayana teachings. Based on that, you'll be able to practice emptiness. So, but in order to practice emptiness, we need, again, solid foundation. So again, as I said, today I'm going to talk about the necessary foundation for the Buddhist practitioners, especially Mahayana. So now, what is the second option or method for those who have not realized the emptiness, right? Because the main, like sort of three supreme methods is, as I said, mind free from concepts and clinging. But there's no way to have that without understanding emptiness, right? But then, what is the other option? If we don't recognize the emptiness completely, fully, then what is the second option? Is there any way, or is there method for those like who have not realized emptiness? According to the Buddhist teachings, if it is impossible to have a mind free of concepts or free of clinging because there is no realization of emptiness, then what we need to do is at least try to be mindful. Yeah, that is the second option, because then we will be able to focus on our meditation. So that's what I'm going to talk. Now, when we talk about mindfulness, as you know, this is another very important foundation, right? Or stage of meditation. So before we have the realization of emptiness, the way to practice with a mind free of concept is conduct all practice faithfully, wholeheartedly, with bodhicitta and mindfulness. Then you kind of have, mind free of concepts. You kind of have mind free of clinging. Clinging means actually the selfishness. We are clinging to this and this and that because that's the selfish mind. So if you have bodhicitta, mindfulness, then you can say like, yeah, I can practice my meditation without concept and clinging, even though I don't recognize fully sort of emptiness, So when we talk about the second supreme method, which is to practice without distraction, basically, and practice without distraction means practice without losing focus, right? So why is it important to practice without losing focus? Because when we are doing virtuous actions, such as, recitations, chanting like prayers beautifully, visualizations, whatever, meditations, whatever we're doing without a mind free from distraction, it will be superficial, what they say, and it brings not much benefit. So you all know that, right? So you, for example, recite mantra, then your mind is thinking something else. What is the benefit of that mantra recitation? Your mind, you are not focused on your meditation. You are say some prayers, but your mind is not free of concepts. Your mind not free of clinging. You are thinking something else. That's why it is important to practice without losing focus. But without mindfulness, There is no way to practice without losing focus. And if you lose focus, then that means you have so much distractions in your mind, then your meditation superficial. That means nothing, bring nothing, not benefit. So we all know that, right? So we must pay attention to practice without losing focus. That's why the second supreme method is important. But for the beginners, I think we should be focused more mindfulness rather than emptiness. Okay? The great masters, they have both. When they meditate within realization of emptiness, which means the mindfulness. Right now, our mindfulness, what we call relative mindfulness. But the great meditators, the mindfulness become like ultimate mindfulness, that not separate from emptiness. So they can do that, but we can't. So we should focus more mindfulness rather than emptiness and all these kind of things, right? Otherwise, when you read about three supreme methods, when you think about the three supreme methods, the second three supreme methods, a mind free of concept and clinging, that means like usually people thinking about emptiness, thinking about nature, mind, all of that. But there is other option. I think for us as ordinary people, we should focus more on mindfulness. To being mindful means that not only the body sort of does virtuous action, like when you do prestations, your body, moving and doing that, right? But more importantly, the mind should be focused on the practice. If you do some prestations every day, yeah, that's if your mind is not focused on that action, then the prestation just become exercise. That's all, not virtuous. So whatever practice we do, whether taking refuge, visualizations, making prestations or meditations on the deities, etc., right? It is important to be mindful what we're doing, why we're doing these things. So being mindful means do not forget what you're doing. That's right. So we start with a simple technique, such as, we already, placing your attention on your thoughts, right? Or your feelings, your emotions, right? The experience of your body, the movement of your breath, etc. So there are lots of good instructions. So being mindful means, don't judge your experiences. When you meditate, your mind wanders and you have all kinds of thinking, and then you judge, I'm such a bad meditator. Don't judge your experience, but just observe them without any expectations. To understand, that's the key. But we have this strong habit, always judging, right? We're judgmental, like this. I have this bad experience. I have my meditations. But just observe them without any, expectation. Can you do that? Can you do that? We usually try to hold on to the experience and then the problem starts right there. We're not mindful of with our thoughts, and then when thoughts arise, we judge them, right? If we follow them rather than observe them and just let it be. We can't do that because this bad habit. But when you meditate on mindfulness, you cannot do that. Then your mindfulness brings lots of problems. Don't try to hold on to the experience. Experience comes and goes. Who cares? You have a good experience, you have bad experience. That's just always comes and goes. But if you hold on the experience, then the problem starts right there. So this sort of continuous lack of mindfulness is what causes us endless thoughts. And these constant thoughts and distractions of continuously living sort of unmindfully is what Buddhists call an ordinary mind. That's what we call ordinary mind. That's what we call ordinary people. Ordinary people means who have a person who has an ordinary mind, which is constant thoughts and distractions and living sort of unmindfully, unconsciously. That's what we call ordinary person, right? An ordinary mind, then if you are ordinary person or ordinary mind creates a lot of problems. And the most powerful thoughts. And then with that, like all these afflictions, right? Desire, attachment, jealousy, anger, etc. In order to subdue this ordinary mind, I think we need to start with a very, very simple meditation, and that meditation also in ordinary way. Nothing like, visualize, deities and, think about enlightenment, nothing like that complicated. But we need a very simple technique, meditation in ordinary way. So it might be best to think of developing mindfulness through meditation as an ordinary way of life, rather than all these complicated visualizations that we have in Buddhism, I mean, we're not maybe there yet. So I think there will be a lot of unnecessary confusion if we do that, like all these complicated visualizations. And we're not going to do that today. The stages of meditation actually describe many levels of meditation and how a spiritual path can be developed and how we should understand ourselves and others. For example, practicing usually, like practicing renunciation, the awakening mind of Bodhicitta. Then we have this wisdom realized in emptiness. Remember, these are the general stages of meditation of Buddhism, right? Everything included. You meditate on renunciation, awakening the mind, bodhicitta, then the wisdom that relies in emptiness. That's all about Buddhism, is all of that. But in order to practice all of these three, the very first and important stage that we need to take is the development of the basic mindfulness. Without it, we can't do any other meditations, any of this meditation. So it is very important that we should pay attention to the stages of meditation and all these fundamentals. Usually we experience different kinds of emotions in everyday life, but we will be able to develop our mind. We all possess the capacity to make our lives happy and to benefit others through training the mind, right? So the mind is the fundamental, because in order to create perfect virtue, unmistaken attitudes, and abandon negative actions, develop beneficial attitude, all of this, we cannot forget the mind. But we always forget it, right? So my point is here, I really think that we need to develop mindfulness. As I said, based the general in Buddhist teachings, they talk about the renunciation and Bodhicitta, the nature mind. But I really think without mindfulness, we cannot practice none of that. So mindfulness is a very specific foundation and necessary, because every practice and meditation depends on this foundation. So any kind of meditation that we practice, we cannot meditate on without this foundation. Do you understand? Are you agree with me? I'm not sure. You may not. Oh, I just want to meditate on a nature mind. It looks like much beneficial, more profound than meditate on mindfulness. Yeah, it is. But how you meditate nature mind without mindfulness? Let's say we have the mind, right? We have the also object of the meditation. But you think, how are we going to hold these two together? Mind and object meditation. How do we do this? Without mindfulness, we cannot hold these two together. Mindfulness is keeping the mind in place and watching what is happening. So mindfulness is the most important aspect of meditation. And there is no need at all to struggle against distractions. But the important thing is not to control what is happening, but to be mindful of what is happening. Do you understand that? This is very important. Okay? Not to control what is happening. For example, like when you meditate, all these distractions arise, like your afflictions, all these things, and then you want to control all of that thoughts and distractions, right? That's very incorrect, So that's what I mean. Not to control what is happening, but to be mindful of what is happening. That's very important. Never forget that. Yeah, do you understand what I'm saying? I'm saying this from my own experience. I first meditate like I want to control these things. I don't want to, bring lots of thoughts, and especially negative thoughts, into my meditation. I want to control. It doesn't work that way. So the teachers say that mindfulness has 3 qualities, right? 3 qualities. I don't know. I have talked to this many times. If I ask you, what are they? You may not know. You forget, maybe can't answer me. That means you are not taking this teaching seriously, right? So what are the characteristic of mindfulness? There are 3 qualities, right? Familiarity, not forgetting, and the ability to hold. These 3 that's the definition of mindfulness. When we are first beginning to meditate, we will experience the feeling of not being able to hold and focus, right? We always feel very tight, when you meditate, very narrow, sort of, and we always forget what is happening with our mind. Sometimes when we meditate, we're just like physically there, yeah, but mentally we're thinking, we have lots of thoughts, one after another. We just forget we're meditating. I mean, that happens all the time. So therefore, but the more familiar we become, the stronger our mindfulness becomes, okay? Then our mindfulness is no longer this like tight, narrow, like, right? When you meditate, like you feel very tired. There's no relaxing, thinking too much all the time and distractions, all that makes really your mind tight, and then you worry everything, So mindfulness, if you build mindfulness, then you don't feel this tightness, narrow mind, all of this. We don't feel that we're not be able to hold or focus, then your mindfulness there, you are there. Your attention is so, stable, and you feel like you can actually experience this relaxation physically, mentally. And when you hold and focus on your meditation, you're able to recognize your thoughts. Let them go, let them, and at the same time, you'll be able to be present, right? And you can do all this together at the same time, at that point. So I can tell you that the more I practice, I need more mindfulness, and I can see how important it is. So that's why. As meditators, we have to understand all these stages and steps, and all these aspects, so that we can understand how to improve our meditation. Maybe we cannot improve our meditation in daily, day to day, but maybe we can improve our meditation within a month or year. So, therefore, this is, I think, we have to, think of, the mindfulness, the technique of mindfulness meditation is associated with the development of peace and relaxation, right? But we can't have this peaceful living sort of meditation without applying discipline or methods. All these things depends on each other. So in order to meditate mindfulness, we need methods, right? We need discipline. So these two techniques are also necessary for the practice of mindfulness. So first, that's why I'm saying, we need to, as a meditator, we need to understand all the stages of meditation, the conditions, the instructions, so that we can develop our meditation without, how do I say, it's easily, if we have these techniques and strategies, instructions, then we can develop our meditation without sort of struggle, I think. So first, I'm going to say discipline. I'm going to tell you a little bit about discipline, right? What is discipline? Discipline is studying, learning, and meditation. So discipline means the right conduct or way of acting. So if we are about, if we care about ourselves, it makes sense to make good decisions, right? About how we behave. Every action comes from a motivation. If we want to help others, that comes from a motivation. So for helping others, we need a certain motivation, and for that, we need a good discipline. So discipline is everything, and it is another important foundation. So discipline must be combined with our wisdom. That means our awareness, good conduct, commitment, and method. So for example, when we begin to feel like a lazy person, we need discipline, right? And commitment to not be lazy. Otherwise, I'm tired. I just don't feel I want to meditate now. At that point, that kind of feeling in your mind, you need discipline. We need discipline. As you know, in Buddhism, there are different kinds of vows and commitments we can take, right? We make a commitment when we take the vows, right? The reason why we need to take them is all these vows help us to stay on the right path and help us to act properly. Therefore, discipline is another great method that helps us to achieve a good meditation. But discipline is also a choice. You can choose. You can choose you want to be a lazy person or be diligent, person. You can choose. It's a choice. And when we understand discipline as a choice, we are in control, not anyone or anything else. So if you feel like you become a lazy person, you choose discipline, then you are in control. So without discipline, we have no control. So when we lose our personal sort of discipline, we also lose our choice and our options. That's why we have, in Buddhism, different vows to take, which is about discipline, and commitment. So more discipline, more choice, more control, and better options, and improvement of our skill and our capacity and our meditation, and so on. So if we practice regularly, keep our discipline, and follow instructions, we will have a sense of discovering ourselves. This achievement. I think that's very important because that helps you. People say, I don't have time, but that's not the case. People, just this, what do you call laziness, right? Because you don't see the result of your meditation or discovering yourself or experience, then we're not so interested, every day about our meditation. So therefore, discipline is very important. Think about that. Another foundation. We say like mindfulness is the most important foundation, but without discipline, we can't be mindful. Okay? Now, the second important technique for practice in mindfulness, as I said, methods. Methods, okay? There are a lot. There are a lot of methods, but there, I think, personally, from my own experience, there are 3 methods that are necessary for beginners. Not for advanced, but for beginners. These 3 methods are also mentioned, if you are familiar with the 9 stages of shamatha meditation. So the first method is called placement of the mind, right? Or directed attention, or setting the mind. That's the first method. The second method is then continuous attention. We have been we have actually teaching on these things, but I'm not sure you remember them correctly or not. So I just remind you again this. Today I'm going to talk a little bit of this 3 method. And the third is repeated, what do you call it? Repeated sort of resting, you know. So as we continue in our practice, directed attention is always the first step. It's the most important method, because how carefully we rest our mind in the first stage will directly affect the development of the next. So the first method is resting the mind. Okay, resting the mind, which means placing the mind on the object of our meditation, which is today we're going to meditate mindfulness, that focus on our breath, our thoughts. That's the object of meditation. When we begin to meditate, resting is the first action and first step we need to take. Therefore, it is the first of the 3 methods: resting, 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 body, mind, resting. So, resting our mind or placing our mind is an important step when we begin the process of meditation. At this stage, the practitioners learning the instructions and becomes familiar with the meditation posture, and then try to rest the mind and attention on the object of meditation, right? So therefore, trying to rest our mind on the object is the first thing we do in meditation, like the mindfulness meditation. And for beginning, meditators, the first stage is where we learn how to balance the focus on the object, recognition of thoughts, and holding the sort of posture. As we continue in our practice, rest is always the first step. When we try to rest our mind, we will see where the mind actually is. And then we try to just rest the mind, therefore, as long as we are able when we meditate. So the first method of this resting or placement is just learning how to meditation practice works. That's all. Or developing the ability to meditate. That is how it begins, right? And then after we rest our mind, we can have 2 different experiences that come from the movement of our mind. So the first we can still have the object of our focus in our mind, but we are unable to maintain that attention for very long, because this is, you understand, this is when we need to use the second method of continuous attention or continual resting. That is the one experience. Then the other experience is when we have completely lost our object of meditation, right? You are thinking something else from yesterday's memory, from maybe future, the imagination, whatever you're thinking. So that case, you are completely lost your object of meditation. When this happens, we need to use the third method of repeated resting. Do you understand? That is the reason why we need at least these three methods in order to meditate on mindfulness. Okay, but I will talk about this two methods and give you some instructions how to use those methods in the next teaching, okay? And meditation section. Now I would like meditate on again mindfulness for a few minutes. 10:45. Okay. I want you do a very simple meditation, okay? First of all, when you meditate, of course, sit straight and just watch your thoughts and be aware of them without any opinions, without any ideas. If you realize that you are following your thoughts, then just be aware of that. Just be aware of that. Don't feel like I want to control this, Focusing the attention on your thoughts combined with your breath. Okay? Do not keep anything in your mind at all. Just to leave the attention as it is. Maybe you do that. Maybe you don't have any thoughts. Your mind is calm. Your body is relaxing. Then just to be aware of that. So don't look for something special, okay? Just aware of everything around you, inside yourself. Just to be aware of that without any looking for something, something special or experience or whatever. The important thing is to be mindful of what is happening. As I said, not try to control what is happening, but just to be mindful of what is happening. So you don't have to think anything other than just to focus on your thoughts and sometimes focus on your breath, or sometimes, combination of both. Whatever feels good, or, whatever works for you. Each breath in is a sort of, when I meditate in my mindfulness, when I breathe in, reminder to recognize my distractions. And then each breath out is a reminder to relax. So recognize and relax. That is when I breathe in, breathe out. That's it. Breathe in is a reminder, my recognition of distractions, whatever. Breathe out is reminder of relaxation. So then it helps to let go of you. You have this, I want to control this, just to recognize and then relax. That's all. Meditation could be very simple, very easy, could be very difficult. It depends on how you do it. So let your breath be a kind of like method to help you to develop your mindfulness, okay? And your concentration and your relaxation. That's all. So by doing that over and over again, it helps you without losing this self-awareness. And it can also help you to discover the inner peace and relaxation. So you have peace and relaxation that brings tremendous happiness in day-to-day life, because our mind is not peaceful at all, not relaxed at all. That's why we have all these thoughts, and we are struggling with these thoughts. We follow this thought, but as long as you have this self-awareness and relaxation and recognition, this brings inner peace and relaxation. That helps your day-to-day life, not difficult, and then you don't have to go through all this hard, and suffering from all these things. We are suffering from thoughts. We create all these things. That's the thing. Sometimes people they stay themselves, they feel loneliness. Sometimes you are with people, you have a problem with people. So the problem is not out there. We create the problems all based on these thoughts and how we act. That means our mind is not relaxed, mind is not peaceful, mind is not, is distracted. So therefore, meditation will help all of that. Okay? Now, 10 minutes again.